Hello guys, welcome to the live stream. As always, I will also be posting this on YouTube, and I feel like I probably should make some more detailed tutorials for YouTube because some people probably don't want to watch the whole live stream because it may be fun for us right now because we can communicate back and forth, but on a replay, you know, they're there for the actual tutorial. But anyway, I'm thinking about that too, about you guys on YouTube that click on because you want to learn how to sew a water bottle holder, and then you get a bunch of this chit chat as I'm interacting with the people coming on the live stream. But if you want to come on the live stream, go ahead and look in the description, and you'll be able to click over to the Facebook page, and then you could join the next live stream or go back and watch the replay. I'm going to wait just a minute. I'm going to actually find myself so I can make sure I see the comments. I should be live. It started at 10. Probably notifications are going out. Yep, there it is. I'm turning the volume down. I'm hunched down because today I am not using all the different angles. I am going to be using my cell phone. And the reason for that is last week I noticed that it was really grainy and the video wasn't as clear. I didn't like that. So this week we're going to try it a little bit different, and then you guys let me know what you think, if you would rather have the different angles or if you like it better on the cell phone, okay? We're going to work this out. But today we are making this cute little water bottle holder with a drawstring at the top, just like this, and then also a strap. And I gotta show you guys this. My mom made me this cute little, and I know it is inverted, like the words and things are inverted. That's another down, like a, you know, something I don't like about this, but she made me this cup, and she said this was a 20-ounce tumbler because she makes these. And guess what? I did not plan this. I actually made this to hold a water bottle. It fits down in there perfectly. Like, look at that fit. I mean, honestly, is that not the cutest? So you could just carry around your water bottle. Anyway, or your tumbler if you have tumblers. So anyway, I thought that was just pretty amazing that this little thing fit in this. All right. Okay, I do need to put this warning out there. We are actually having winter weather, and it has been raining, sleet, and thundering, and our electricity has been flickering. If that happens during the live stream, I'm going to cancel it because I won't be able to use my sewing machine. We'll cancel that until the weather clears up. So I just wanted to put that warning out there because right now we are having severe weather. Patrick tried to go to town earlier and he couldn't make it. So yeah, we're stuck, and that's okay. All right, I'm going to put that aside and we're going to get started. I'm actually going to flip you around to my work table, and I'm going to show you guys all the things that you're going to need to make your own water bottle holder if this is something that you want to do. It's got a lot more pieces involved than our previous videos, our previous tutorials, but it's absolutely doable. It is, I would say, an advanced beginner. So if you're an advanced beginner, you can make this. I'm going to flip you around. You are going to see my, oh, I didn't turn my ring light on. You're going to see my workplace here. Let me turn this ring light on. I thought we had all this. I might not need it. I can't get that on. I can't get that on. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. Right? See if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to show you. Hi, Alicia. I'm going to show y'all what you're going to need. So I created this pattern right here. And as you can see, I've got, this is a work in progress, but the pieces that you're actually going to need, it's going to be a 10" by 10.5 inch. Okay. So I created this because when I laid my fabric out, this is the print we're going to be using. When you fold your fabric in half like this, you can use pattern pieces to cut out your stuff. So anyway, this is where the fold would be. So as you can see, that's the fold. And I would lay it over my area of fabric that I was going to cut out. And then I would cut along the edges. And so that gives you a cut like this. So you could also use, if you had the square, this is my favorite square, you could totally just use your template, use your square. So there's a couple options there for you, but the pieces that you're going to need is you're going to need your exterior fabric, and it needs to be cut. They're all cut the same. A 10.5, a 10 by 10.5. Okay. You are going to need an interfacing. This is optional. I am using interfacing today because this is not a cotton material. So it's going to need stability. So if you want your water bottle holder to have stability, you're going to want an interfacing. And this, I picked this up at my local Walmart, and this is what I'm using right here. It is firm. So there are many different kinds. Get familiar with your interfacing. This would be, I'm going to show you guys this. This is, some of them are for, how do I explain this? This is a different type of interfacing. This is more for like applying fabric as patches or things like that. You're going to want to look for this kind. Okay. A fusible interfacing. And then you're going to want your interior piece, and I'm just using black today, all cut the same size. Then you're going to want to cut 2 4" by 4" squares, one from your exterior piece and one for your interior. Okay, this is the bottom base, and I'll show you guys how we're going to use these. You are going to, if you want the drawstring, you do not have to do the drawstring, but if you do, I'm using some cord here, and I have this little stopper thing here. Okay, you do not have to do this step, but I like the drawstring, so we're going to do that today. And then for your strap, I went ahead and I have it all cut, and my strap's going to be about 52 inches long. So you're going to want to cut, however, the length of your strap, you're going to want to cut that much fabric, and mine is about 3 inches wide. Let me get my ruler here to show you guys. Okay, it's about 3 inches wide. Again, it's your preference. This is your water bottle holder. You can make your strap as wide, as long, whatever size that you want. Okay, first thing we got to do, we got to apply our interfacing. So let's go over here to our mat. Can you see that? And be very careful because I have ironed interfacing on the wrong side. Actually, this is the one. See, and it got here, and I have to scrape that off. So be very careful, be watchful when you are applying interfacing. The shiny side is what attaches to your fabric. Okay, so I've got my shiny side up, and I'm going to lay my fabric over this. And remember, it's 10 by 10.5, so you want to make sure that you're getting it on the right orientation. And I did cut my interfacing a little bit smaller than my material. Okay. Now, if this was cotton fabric, I would just run my iron straight over it. But it's not. It is like more of a suede type material. So I have Teflon. You can order Teflon on Amazon. It'll come in, let me raise you up. If you want to order your own Teflon, because you can iron on it, I use it for my, there's my heat press. I use it for my heat press. You buy these huge sheets and then you just cut off what you need. So I have cut this to fit my heat press. So that's just an idea. If you have never heard of Teflon sheets, they are available on Amazon, and I'm going to use mine today because it's going to help me smoothly iron over and adhere that interfacing. Now, sometimes when I'm making wallets and things, I actually use my heat press and I will press it on for a few seconds because it gets so hot. But for today's purpose, we're using the iron, and I'm just going to smooth it over, making sure I, whoops, press that on real good because we want that to stay. All right. Now let's check it out. Okay. And that's what it should look like. It's pressed on, it's stuck, it's applied, and now we are ready to use it. Let me move you back over here. I hope this works out like this. Hope you guys can see all the things. Okay, now let me move some of this stuff out of my way. I'll get my instructions here. I tried to jot down the instructions so it would be easier for me to go step by step instead of me just doing it and missing some things. I could, Alicia, I was trying to make a template. I've gotten like this kind of a wallet, you know, with the, and I have created templates with the see-through front, say for a phone, you know, to fit your phone down in there. And then it's got the slots inside. So I was thinking about making the templates for these. We could do a tutorial on the wallets, and then I think before, I don't know, I can't remember if we've made these before. But anyway, these are some of the wallets that I've made. And then here's a bigger style. I really like this style. It's a wristlet, and then I attached the thing on with the zipper top, and then it's got pockets on the inside. So these are pretty popular. I like these. Anyway. Squirrel. I just squirreled, didn't I? Okay. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to set this one aside. And where's my lining piece? I just lost my lining piece. There it is. Okay, you're going to want to get your lining piece. I'm going to go ahead and press this because I scrunched it up. So we're going to want to start with a freshly pressed lining. You could use, let me show you another option. Where is it? Uh-oh, I don't see it. I have some different material. There it is. You could use this kind of material on the inside if you prefer. I'm not doing that today. I'm trying to keep this simple. But like I said, you can customize it. So if you would rather have like this more of a waterproof material for the inside, this is an option. Okay, so this is the step. So you wouldn't iron yours, of course. But I'm using cotton today, so we are ironing. So now that I've got it pressed pretty good, we are going to come over here to the mat. And I'm going to show you guys how to work this. We are going to be marking on it today. Hey, Mom. Mom made it. Hello, Mom. So, okay. What you're going to do for this is, okay, how can I explain this? You're going to fold it. Let's first, first, you guys, I'm moving you around a lot. I don't know if we're going to like the cell phone. We want to make sure that we're going to have the right orientation. So 10 by 10.5. So over here, you guys can't see, but it says 10.5. So I've got the orientation right. This is so important because this is the height of it and this is the width of it. And if I was to use this 10 turned, it's not going to work right. It's going to be too tall and my bottle is not going to fit down inside. So be very careful when you start this that you've got the right orientation. So I do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this piece in half, just like this. I'm going to crease it down. Now, I have this chalk. A pen isn't going to work for me, but if you had a different material and you could write on it, this would be perfect. But I have this Taylor's chalk here that I'm going to use. And you're going to want a ruler because you're going to have to measure. And Chloe took my small ruler, so I'm going to have to use my big ruler today. What's going to happen here is we're going to make line marks. We're going to make marks that we're going to, like a mark that we're going to sew, and a mark where we're going to leave open for our drawstring, and a mark that we're going to leave open for the turning of the water bottle holder. This is going to be so important, so do not skip this step. If you are not making the drawstring, this first part, you don't have to do. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and mark my seam allowance about 1/2 inch. And for that, I'm going to use my blue. The blue is going to let me know this is my sew line right here. Okay. So I want to make a straight sew down. So I've marked that. The next thing I'm going to do is mark my lines where I'm going to put my ruler right along the side of my sew line, the blue line right here. And I am going to get my white chalk because this is going to let me know that this is where the opening is. So I don't sew that part, okay? I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to come down about 1/2 inch up here. And I am going to make marks. I'm going to make like marks like this. Okay, I'm going to come down about 1/2 inch. I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to come down about 3/4 inch and make another mark to let me know don't sew between these lines. Okay, now going to the bottom down here, let me raise this up. Going to the bottom of it, we're going to do the same thing down here, but this time you are going to come up about 2 inches right here, and you're going to want to make your mark. Okay, and depending on how big you want your gap for turning, now remember, you're going to be birthing this whole thing through this gap right here, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to leave about 3 inches open. I'm going to come up and I'm going to make another mark. And this is where I'm going to leave this whole thing open. Now, we're ready to go to the sewing machine. If you want to pin yours, sometimes I don't even pin my stuff. I just take it over and do it. But for today, you guys, I'm going to pin it just to keep everything in line so nothing moves or nothing adjusts. I'm going to take it over, and we are going to sew down this blue line, skipping over, I'll show you, and sewing down. Okay. This is the tricky part because now that I'm on my phone, I can't just flip y'all to the next screen. I've actually got to move you over. So bear with me, okay? I'm going to try to zoom in. I hope that's good for you. You guys see okay? See the sewing machine okay? Is this your shop? I don't remember seeing it. No, Mom, it's not. It's just a tutorial. I haven't put these up for sale. There's another one that I want to do that's actually got a pouch on the side. So it's got the holder, and then it's got a zip pouch on the side that you put your phone and your slots for your cards and things. I kind of want to do that one. I haven't made it yet though. So, okay. I've got all my settings. I don't know how much you guys can see, but I am using a longer stitch length. You could shorten this. I'm probably going to do that for this, a 3 for my machine. And I'm just going to get started. So I'm going to back stitch at the front, and I'm going to sew down to that line right there, and then I'm going to back stitch and go forward. Now I'm going to raise my needle, raise my presser foot, and I'm going to skip over that little part that we marked, and I'm going to put my needle back down, and I'm going to back stitch, and I'm going to continue sewing until I get to the next mark. Do not sew over your pins. Okay, I'm at the next mark, so I'm going to back stitch, go forward, raise my needle and my presser foot, and I'm going to move my material down until I get to the next mark. Take out my pin, back stitch, and complete through. Just like that. Back stitching at the end. And that is our first step on the lining. Okay. I hope that you guys were able to see that. Let's move you back over to the thing. And I'll take the zoom off. Alright. Can y'all see okay? Is that too much? I hope that everything's okay for you guys, alright? Alright. Now I'm going to clip. I'm going to be very, very careful, and I'm going to just clip off these loose threads, trying not to clip the actual other threads. Okay. I think it stopped. I think the sleet stuff stopped. I'm not hearing thunder either, so we're probably good to go. All right. Now, we are going to want to, let's see. Making sure I'm doing the right thing. We're going to want to trim this off. Now, I have a couple things. I have this rotary cutter that's got the little thing. I also have pinking shears. I'm going to use the pinking shears, or you could just use your regular scissors. But whatever you choose to do, we're going to just clip off some of this excess right here. We don't want that bulkiness in our project. Just trim off about half of it. Okay. Now we're going to lay this to the side. Now we're going to work on the exterior part. It's basically the same. Let me make sure I'm on the right. I tried to write all my steps down. So, okay, we marked it. Yep. Okay. So, just as we did before, want to make sure that you have the right orientation. So that's what I'm doing here on my mat. I'm making sure that this is 10 up and 10.5 wide. Now, we're going to cut some of this off. Yes, we're going to cut this off. We are going to actually cut off. We want this to be 8.5 inches. And I didn't do this in the beginning because it was easier just to make the one cut from one pattern and get it pressed. And so now we're able to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off from this top. So I'm going to have it laying here straight as I can get it. And I'm going to cut off about 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to, let me move it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to use this and I'm going to measure up about 1.5 inches. All right. Help if I had the lines right. That's why I love these grid marks. It really helps get all of your things straight and line it up pretty good. And then take your rotary cutter. If you don't have a rotary cutter, make your marks and you could use your scissors. And then there we go. So now it is 8.5 by 10.5, and this is our exterior. Now we're going to fold this in half, just like that. Make sure everything lines up really nicely. Best that I can get it anyway. And I'm actually just going to clip it. I'm going to clip it down because we're going to sew it together. Just like that. And hold it down. All right. Now we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we are going to get this stitched. Oh, you can probably see like how icy it is right there. I'm just glad the electricity didn't go off again. All right. Mom, did your electric flash off and on? Y'all okay right there? Alrighty. Now I'm just going to sew all the way down. Just straight down. No marks, no nothing. It doesn't feel right though. I probably have that wonky. All right. I'm using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I still have my tension or my length, stitch length on 3 on my machine, so it's a little tighter because we will be turning this inside or right side out. That fabric is tough to use because it's so soft. That's why this type of fabric has to have interfacing. It moves on you. Okay. Whoa! Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Alright. Okay, there we go. Alicia, I believe I got this at Hobby Lobby. The fabric print. And see, it did move on me. It is, if it doesn't have interfacing, it's almost impossible to work with. See how much? So, but that's okay. It's fine. We're going to trim that off anyway. So, moving on. What do we do now? Let me read my directions. Pin the sides. Sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Press seams open on exterior and interior fabric. So, I'm going to just kind of trim off some of this that got shifted. Just like that. Oh, that looks silly. I'm afraid to cut too much. I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Back to the pressing mat. Now what we're going to do is press our seams down. So important. So what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of fold this in half just like this. And I cut myself just a small Teflon just for small projects. So we are going to press these seams open. So fiddle with your seams. Kind of press them down a bit. Okay. And then you're going to want to get your iron and just kind of sew over them. Or sew over them. Press them. Press them open. Okay. Same here. And the interfacing, once it gets kind of hard, it kind of makes it stiff, so you got to work it a little bit. You got to work it open. Because you want it to lay flat. So pressing your seams, no matter what project you're using, will give you a smoother result in the end. Especially like when I do quilts, I have to press every seam. I press every seam down, because if you flip that quilt over and your seams are wonky, it's going to make it rough and bumpy on the top. So I make sure I press down every seam. Okay, that's probably as good as that's going to get. Now we're going to do the same thing on our interior piece. So again, you're just going to fold it in half. Your seam will be sticking up. And for this, I don't have to use this sheet because it's cotton. You can. And you're just going to lay it flat and it'll be easier. This one will be easier. Usually you can just maneuver the tip of your iron down the seam and it'll lay it open for you. And it'll give you a nice press, just like that. Okay. And it should look flat like that. Okay. Move you guys back over. Yeah, cotton is a lot easier to sew with. When you get into some of these more delicate fabrics, they do require interfacing because it's a stretchy, like a spandex type. But I really liked the print, and so I wanted to use it today and kind of just show the different types of material and how to use them. And the thread. There's some that you wouldn't be able to use just a cotton thread on. Okay. Let's see. All right. Now we're going to work on the bottoms. So take these and lay them aside. And I showed you guys the squares in the beginning, right? So these are 4" by 4", one out of the exterior and one out of the interior. Now, I have this cut to fit. This is the base of our holder. So it's going to be this part right here. We're going to sew this in on the underside. I'm going to walk you guys through that. So you could either make marks, and this is hard for me. I don't like it this way, but you can. Just make your mark all the way around. I'm not really good with lines, so if you're good at that, yeah, do it that way. Me, I just hold it and I just roughly sew around it like that, because that works for me. You could pin it on and sew it. However you can get the job done, just cut out your circle. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but it does need to be about that size, because that's what's going to fit on this actual project. Let me see. How big is this circle? So from the centerpiece, from the center right here, it is about 1 1/4 inches. So to make your own circle, how am I getting into all this? Oh my goodness. How am I getting into all this? Let me just teach y'all how to make a circle. Okay, so from the center, I would mark, let's go right here. Let's say that would be my center. And I need a ruler. If I had a ruler, it'd be easier. And then I would mark down 1 1/4. And then I'd go over, mark 1 1/4. And you just do all that all the way around. And then after you're done, then you can just draw your circle out. However, the dimensions that you need for your circle. Okay? That's just a little extra. Y'all probably don't want to know that, but that's how you get your circle. So I have mine perfectly fit. So I'm actually going to do that for this side too. I'm just going to cut this out the best that I can. this fabric is so... I should have put the interfacing on it before. Tip, I skipped it. Put your interfacing on if you're using it on your bottom piece. I did not do that. Ta-da! It's alright. It is okay. Shiny side up. Just like that. This is going to be one of the longer projects. Sorry about that, y'all. I thought I had everything ready. But, I mean, honestly, that's kind of how it goes, right? In your work time, in your workspace. Sometimes it doesn't go exactly as you want it to. But I'm just going to press that down. That may stick a little bit because I didn't do it right. Alright. Now I'm going to cut it with my rotary cutter. Just like that. It works. Oh, jeez. I'm going to give it one more press. Make sure y'all still with me. It's going to be a long one. Before, though, when I was using my other setup, I couldn't show you guys when I press things. All right. Those are good. They're good enough. They're ready enough to sew onto the bottom. Now, we're going to sew these, whoops, onto the bottom of these. Am I missing anything? No? Okay. So, take this bottom part. Oh, first, we got to make sure we got the right, see, because there's my opening, so I know that is my bottom. So I'm going to flip this around. So make sure that you've got your bottom and your top identified. This is my bottom. I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to make little snips, just little ones. I mean about 1/8 inch, y'all, not too much. About every inch or so, because you're going to want this to be able to stretch when you sew this on. So be very careful. Take your time. Make your snips. This will help the process. All right. Do the same thing with the other side. I think I want this to be my bottom. It looks like it's going to be healthier to use. So I'm just going to snip it as I go. Okay. So that's what it should look like. Just all the way around. Just little cuts. Okay. Now I'm going to take both of these to the sewing machine and I'm going to show you guys how I attach these. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not. We're going to pin them. We're going to pin them on. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to pin them here because it might be easier for you guys to see if I do that. Did I turn this inside? Did I turn this inside out when I did that? I don't think I did. All right. I'm going to start right here, and you're just going to take this and just kind of fit it in there. Just like that. Ooh, that'll get you. And you're going to pin it. And then I cross over. You can do it however you want, but I usually cross over to the next, like across from it, and then I take it and I pin it. And then I go to the next side, and I take it and I pin it down. Whoops. Right? You gotta on the outside in, because it will mess up if you don't. This one is kind of a tedious process, this side. And then I go to this side. And you can add as many pins as you feel comfortable with. Just depends on how many pins you want to pull out at the sewing machine. But you do want to make sure that this is held down. Alright. I'm only going to use the 4. And then we're going to go over and we are going to sew this together. No, we're not. We're going to do this one too. I keep getting ahead of myself. Alright. That's the bottom. Same process. I always start at the seam. And then I fit it on there, wherever it looks good. Pin them. Straight across. Pin it. Kind of gets a little tedious, but it's worth the process to get that round bottom. You would, if you know how to do box squares, you could totally just do box squares, but then you'd have to readjust your fabric. You'd have to readjust your fabric measurements so that you could cut that bottom off. But we're not doing that today. I can show you box squares another day. Okay, now we're ready. Are we ready to go to the sewing machine? We're ready. I think we're ready, you guys. Oops. Okay, move you over. I'll zoom you in so you can see my machine. This is so important. I want to get y'all as close as I can so you can see exactly how this is going to happen. The video is narrow. Okay. Is it still narrow, Alicia? Can you see that okay before I start sewing? I'd like to know because I want you guys to be able to see the process. Let me take a sip of coffee while I wait. You can see? Okay. Perfect. I'm going to start with this one because I believe you guys will be able to see better the black on white. Okay, so we're going to sew with it like this. We're going to be like pressing this down. So I'm going to start right here where the seam is. And I'm just going to kind of fold it out to make it kind of lay flat and press everything out and fold this part down. Squish it down. I'm going to slip it under my presser foot. And I'm going to be using that same 3-length stitch so that it's tight. And I'm going to sew over the seam and then back stitch. And it looks like it's about not quite 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Just however, probably 1/8 of an inch, just however you can do it to sew around. And you're going to work it out as you go. So now that I'm ready to sew on, I'm going to reposition it. You're only going to be able to sew little bits at a time. I'm going to sew around, and I'm going to make sure I am sewing on the outside of the places that I've snipped. You'll be able to see those. And I'm going to sew around, and this is where I need to pull my pin out and readjust. Them pins will get you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now press it down. Okay. Gotta readjust. All right. Just work it as you go. I'm going to pull this pin out. It's not going to look pretty. It could be a little frustrating, but trust it. It works. We're about there. Trying to keep it aligned up. All right. This is the slowest part of the whole thing, is sewing these bottom pieces on, and then it's just going to fly by from here. All right. We are coming to the end, and when you get there, squish it down and backstitch. Okay, the first one is done. I'm going to move on to the next one. Same process, but this will be a little bit easier because it's just cotton. It doesn't have the interfacing on, but I'm finding my seam, and that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to press it down. Can you see this okay? I don't know if you guys can even see this okay. I know if I was to use that other thing, oh no, there's no way. The video was so grainy. Okay. Gotta make sure that's straight. I don't really want it. It looks like it's trying to pleat. I don't want the pleats. I just want it to be round. But this is the interior, so if you do get a pleat, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's gonna be able to see it. I'm gonna trim off my threads. Threads that hang just drive me crazy. Okay, we're at the end. So I'm going to smooth it out, and we're going to sew back over the seam and backstitch. Okay, we're done. Let's see if I sewed it all correctly. Hope I didn't miss anything. Is the video okay still? Is it narrow? Is it? How does it look? Okay. Now, if you want to use your scissors or your pinking shears, you could trim off if you have a lot of excess. I really don't have a lot of excess because I sewed it pretty close. Same with this. I could cut some of that off for the bulkiness, and I probably will on this one. But since we're kind of at a better place, if you can see, I sewed around, but I didn't sew over the snips. I sewed behind them like that, okay? Let me cut this off. That's why I was saying in the beginning of the video, it might be better that for YouTube, because I will post this to YouTube, if I make a shorter tutorial with just the steps, because these could get pretty long if we get into some more intensive patterns. But myself, I watch a lot of tutorial videos. I like to watch people sew, mostly quilts, different types of things. I enjoy them, so I know there are people out there that enjoy them. Now, moving along, let me see. I want to get ahead of myself here. We're going to do the strap. We got to attach the strap. So we're going to lay these aside. And I want my strap to be pretty big, so I've cut out enough for me to have like 52 inches of strap. And in the beginning, I told you guys this was 3 inches wide. But I'm going to show you a process because you're like, how in the world am I going to get a strap that big? Well, you create it. So we're going to bind this together, and I'm going to show you how to do this. It's like, what do they call this? Never-ending binding or something like. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So you're going to take your strips and you're going to sew them together to get the length that you need. And to do this, you're going to lay out your end pieces and you're going to attach them together just like this, lining up the edges in the corner. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to sew it down. No, I'm going to sew it this way because then it's going to fold this way and it'll be a continuous strip. Now I already did that here, but I saved this step so that I could show you guys how I was actually making it this long. So I'm going to bring you back over to the sewing machine and you're going to see just how this is done in case you've never done this. If you already know how to do this, then it'll just be a refresher. I don't know. All right. There's a lot of just little different steps along the way when you make these bigger, not bigger projects, but more detailed projects. So I'm wanting it to fold out this way, right? Let me eyeball it. Yes. So I'm going to sew it from that corner to that corner. Back stitching in the beginning and in the end. Okay, I'm going to trim off my threads wherever they are. This is a horrible mess. Okay. And then I'm going to snip off that part that that little edge just alongside the seam. And then we're going to take this to the ironing mat and we're going to press it down. That's a stain from a different craft project. I mean, yeah. It's never going to come up unless I sand that down, and I ain't doing that. Okay. Here it is, just like that. So on the back, this is what it's going to look like. We're not going to press from that side. I usually lay it down and then hold it so the seam is underneath and it's folded one way, whichever way you want it. And then I just press it from the top. And it creates that seamless appearance. So, okay. Let's see. You asked a question. Did you ask a question? Okay. Did I miss your question, Alicia? I don't know if I did. I can't see. I'm using a different phone to read y'all's comments. All right. With these seams facing upward, we're actually now going to sew our strap. Now, this is a little bit tedious. This is why whenever I'm working, I either have YouTube playing or have worship on or have like something in the background because you need it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to kind of press our seam down. This is where I just eyeball it. Just eyeball it. If you want to be more precise, fold it in half, take your iron, flatten it out. Then you're going to open it up and you're going to fold this part down just like that. Crease it and you're going to fold it. You're going to iron it all the way down, and that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to do that yet. Yeah, let's do that. It'll save a little bit of time. So as you can see, we're making the strap, and you can kind of see how wide that strap is going to be. So mine is 3 inches. And if you're a person that would want a wider strap, you could probably do 4 inches when you cut yours, and you would get a wider strap, just depending on how wide you want it. We're just going to work this down. Just like this. This takes a little bit of time. Also, this is kind of how I make my quilt binding. Same process, except I only press down one side. So it's another reason why quilts take so long. All the detailed handwork that goes into them. Once you learn this, I mean, or unless you already do it, it goes by pretty quickly because you can do it without thinking. You just know what to do. But for a tutorial video, it takes a little bit of extra time so that I don't miss anything and I show you guys the how-tos. You don't want this part to overlap. You just want it to either touch or have just a bit of a gap. That's important to know. Didn't realize this project was going to take this long. Usually they're less than 30 minutes when I do them. That awkward silence. I don't know what to say to y'all. Oops. I don't want that to overlap. We're almost to the end. We're almost to the end, y'all. Hang in there. Maybe I should just do the shorter tutorials and post those on Thursdays so that you're not having to watch me do all this kind of work live. That might be better for now. Okay, we're at the end, but we're not done. We're not done, y'all. Now we gotta fold it in half and do it all over again. Yay! So, fold it in half and press it down. If you have an ironing board, you just lay this thing across there and iron that down. It won't take you long at all, but I really like this wool mat and I use it for everything. Everything I press goes on this wool mat. And this is why when you're ironing it down the first time, you don't want that center, those pieces to overlap, because it's going to make it hard for you to fold this over. It'll be really bulky and difficult. So you just kind of want it to touch but not overlap, so that you're able to press your strap down. I like the selling. I like to sell things. I like when I sell things. But I really, really like this. I like to teach this stuff. Patrick's in the other room. He's in the living room. All the kids are home today because of the snow and the ice. He is probably not gonna, well, I'm not saying probably not gonna make it. He is not gonna make it to work today. There's no way. All right, we're done. We're done with this strap. Okay. Yes, bias tape. Bias tape. That's what that's called. Thank you, Alicia. That's what it's called. All right. Coming over here. Remove my old phone. Okay. Let me get my steps out that I scribbled down yesterday. Fold exterior in half from seam. Mark the other with a pin. Okay. We're going to baste this on this. So it's already folded in half. Okay. So you're going to grab your pins and just mark it in the seam because you're going to pin your, let's just do that now. You're going to take your strap, make sure that it's, how can I show you this? You're going to make sure that it's even. No, what am I doing? No wonder. We've got to sew this baby. We got to sew this. It's time to sew this. What am I doing? I'm skipping a step. Can't even read my own steps. Okay. I've been working on this for a while, trying to figure out the best way to make an easy one, because the one that I want to make and add to my shop isn't quite as easy. And I didn't feel like we could do that one today. All right, we're going to sew this. And I'm actually going to make my stitch length back to 4 because it's a top stitch and I want it to look a little decorative if that's possible. And you're going to sew this down. So I'm going to start with the open edges. And I'm going to sew as close as I can, but I'm going to make sure everything is in the seam. Back stitching isn't necessary, but it's just kind of ingrained in me, so I'm just going to sew all the way down. Trying to keep it even. Gonna want to shift on you, but I don't pin it because that would be a lot of pinning. If you feel more comfortable pinning yours, absolutely do that. But I eyeball, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and since I've already ironed it, it's already creased. And actually, this isn't cotton. My strap is going to be more of a canvas. It's a black canvas. It's not the cotton. So it didn't press as nicely as cotton would have. But I wanted it to be more sturdy because it is a strap. But cotton, you could totally use cotton for this. Or you could buy the pre-made stuff. You wanted to skip this step completely. Clip that out because we don't want that poking through our project. I'm going to pivot and I'm going to turn because I'm going to sew up the other side. And instead of cutting it and starting a new seam, I'm going to just pivot, sew all the way over, pivot again, and then I'm going to get started on the other side. You do not have to sew down the other side because it is closed. It's not going to come open. But for me, I think it looks more professional with seams down both sides, so that's why I'm doing this. It's not necessary, but it just gives a better presentation. So that's what I'm going to do. That thread doesn't, though. It's got to go. There's another piece of thread that's sticking out. There's the strap. I'm going to clip the ends off and we're going to measure it and make sure that we get the 52 inches that we want. So I'm going to give about an inch, so we'll make it about 53 inches because we do have to allow for the attaching of it. So back over to our little work table and we'll get started on this. We are about done. I know it seems like it's been forever, but I promise you, we are about done. You would buy the bias just to save the time? Yep. And you could do that. Absolutely. Because, you know, it would be easier. So I'm going to just measure mine out. So I'm going to measure it by 20s because I want. So there's 20. 40. I have a lot left. Okay. 50. And I'm going to measure 1, 2, 3. And that is where I'm going to cut it. I did have a lot left, and that is because I wanted to show you guys, which I'll use this for something else. I wanted to show you guys how to make the bias, you know, attach it. So anyway, here's my strap that we're going to put on. So now we come back, we're going to pick up where we left off a while ago. When I was trying to attach it before, we're going to attach it to these pieces right here. So here's my, okay, first we're going to make sure these are evenly, fit the ends together, make sure it's even and there's no, you know, it's not crossed or anything, and then we're going to actually put this down inside. And then we're going to attach that. Right? Is it on the inside or the outside? How did I do that? Oh, it's the wrong one. Turn right main piece out. The remove front pin. The side pins mark the handle placement. Line up strap and place inside holder. Pin strap ends, 2 sides, and then we're going to baste it in place. I know that. Now, I know I did that, but I can't remember. Increase. Okay, so I feel like this is right because we're going to baste that on. Because when you turn it, it's going to be coming out this way. Right? Lord, help my mind. How did I do this? Fold exterior in half from seam. Because we did our straps. Mark the other side with the pin. Okay, that was right. Match seam allowance to pin and crease. Fold pin creases. Were we supposed to put that down in there? It has to be, because if we, oh my gosh, if we do it on the outside, then it's not going to show, like it's going to be on the inside of the project, and we don't want that. Okay, we're going to go with it, y'all. I can't remember what I did. All right. Okay, we're going to base this on so that it doesn't come off later when we're flipping everything around and turning everything around. I gotta walk through the process again because I can't remember what I did. I thought I made myself good notes so that I could just go through it with you. Okay. I am going to push this back, and I'm going to kind of lift that up, and we're just going to baste it on. You don't have to backstitch if you don't want to. I do, because it's just, I can't do anything without backstitching. Basting means just, you want it held in place. So if you didn't want to use your sewing machine for this part, you just wanted to create a stitch by hand, you could totally do that. Just get it held in place. Okay. Straps are connected. Move you back over here so we can fit all this together. All right. So that's what it's going to look like. You're just going to attach them just like that. Now, turn main piece right side out. So all of this has got to come out. This is where we turn. This is where I was trying to get ahead of myself. I knew we had to turn, but I couldn't remember if this was it. I'm going to turn it out just like that. And there's your bottom. See how cool that looks? I love that. I love that. Praise God, it worked out. Okay. Moving on. What did I write down? Place exterior piece inside lining. So grab your liner piece. You're going to align the seams and you're going to pin along the edge. So open this up just like this. You're going to grab this. Where's my seam? Right there. That's my seam. And you're going to want to fit this stuff down in there. If you can. And then I put my hand in there to try to line up those seams. Okay. Get in there. All right. I'm going to stick my hand in there and pull this up, making sure that that seam stays one seam on top of the other seam. Alrighty. Now, don't push it all the way in there. And I'll tell you this, I'll tell you why. Because this fabric is taller than this fabric because we're doing the drawstring, remember? So you're going to have a little bit of extra at the bottom. So if you pushed it in too much, just kind of tug it out of the bottom just like that. And tuck these down in there. Make sure they're down in there where they're not going to get sewn at the top. They don't have to be all the way to the bottom. Just make sure that they're far enough down they're not going to get sewed up. Okay. Making sure that my seams are, and that's where I'm going to start pinning. I'm going to start pinning right here where my seams are. Okay, we're going to pin all the way around the top, because we are going to take this and sew this together. Just working it around. Just like that. Kind of gets bulky right here where the straps are. Just make sure that your strap is laying as flat as it can downward. And then just, if you can push your pin through, hold those down real good. And then now we've come to the other side. So it should fit in there pretty good. You know, matching up pretty good. And now we're going to go sew this together. Let me make sure. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Sew along edge. Yes. So these are a little bit tedious, but they're absolutely fun. Like, if you really like these kind of projects, these are so fun. I love making them. My mom doesn't sew, but I don't know if you saw that she had made this. In the beginning I had showed it, and it accidentally fits so good in my holder, so I had to show that today. She is crafty. She is crafty. Okay, we're going to put this underneath, and you're going to have to push back the top, and just be careful of your pins because they will get you. And I'm going to shorten my stitch length so it's tighter, and you are going to sew all the way around the top, and just do about an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't want to take too much of your height away, so be mindful of that, but we do want everything stitched together. And I'm starting and I'm sewing over the seam first, and I'm going to work my way back around. So you are going to be working in a circle, and you're going to be working little bits at a time, just like we did the bottom. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to just rotate it around. Uh-oh, my thread got caught. And then I'm going to pull out that pin. Is there another pin? No. I do a little back stitching over the strap. When you come to the strap, it's going to be a little bulky, but if you want to do a back stitch to make sure that's secure, this is the perfect time to do that as you sew over them. I'm coming around to where I started. Okay, just like that. Okay, let's go pull this out and see what it looks like. Let me take y'all off Zoom so you can see some stuff. Y'all want to see some stuff, don't you? Cut my threads. Yes, we are sewing the top closed, and I know that seems like, oh no, but I'll show you. I know it seems stiff. I know it seems that way. How are we going to get it open? And then you want to kind of look and gauge and see if you need to trim off any excess seam. But I don't think I'm going to attempt that because I don't want to cut into my thing. But you totally could. So this is that part, Alicia. Remember where we left that gap in the beginning? You're probably like, oh yeah. Okay. Everything's got to come out of it. That's why I left mine about 3 inches so that I could pull this through. See? Ta-da! And there is the inner. There's the innards and the outards. And your seams should be pretty perfect, pretty lined up if you did it. And then you're going to have this small gap right here. That's for your drawstring if you're choosing to do that. It looks like I had a boo-boo right here. I didn't catch that, so I'm going to just, I'm not going to re-put it. I'm just going to sew that down from the outside. Since this is the lining, it'll be okay. I'll just make a stitch through here and it'll hold it. It's fine. So you're going to find that opening right here and we're going to close that. So that is our next step. We're going to close the gap. Let me make sure that's right. Yes. So you can either take this to the machine and do a very small top stitch along here, or you could do an invisible stitch if you know how to do that and hand stitch. But since this is a lining, nobody's going to see it. I'm going to take it to the machine and we're going to actually just top stitch that down. Did you have your aha moment now? Like, oh, okay. When I first did it, it felt really weird because I was like, did I just mess up? I took like 3 different patterns to create this one pattern. So I tried to make my own steps to fit the needs that I needed. That's why I'm like having a hard time remembering exactly what, because it's from 3 different projects. So I'm just going to stitch that down. As close as I can get to the edge. We're going to trim that off. And I'm going to find that opening because I didn't catch that when I sewed the bottom piece on. I didn't get that caught in the thread. So I'm going to tuck that in and I'm just going to do another one right here. So if that happens to you, don't fret. Just top stitch it down and it'll be fine. It'll still work. Trim your threads off. No one likes pesky threads hanging out everywhere. I have thread snippers, but I hardly use them. Alright. Okay. I'm going to move y'all again. Here we go. I'm going to zoom you out so you can see my workspace. Okay. I'm glad it wasn't only you. No. Yeah, I stole that part from another tutorial. I was like, oh, I like that process, so I'm going to do that. So that's how I did that. And also, when you make purses, that's about the same process. So if you have ever made a purse or something, a bag, it's pretty much the same, except now we're making a water bottle holder. All right. We're going to tuck the lining back into here. We're going to tuck it in there. Now remember, it's a little taller, so you're going to feel a bunch of bulk inside. Don't get worried. Don't worry, because we're going to pull a little bit up, remember, because we were making that drawstring. So you're going to want to kind of finger pull it up to where you see your hole. Can you see that on my screen? The hole right there? Okay. I'm pulling mine up to the top of that hole. And that lets me know, okay, stop. This is as big as you need to pull your material up. So I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm going to finger press it down, and then we're going to go over to the ironing mat and we're going to iron that down. So I'm actually just going to fold it and then peel it back a little bit and just go on the inside. Press it down real good. On the other side. When you learn just a few techniques, you can apply those techniques to so many different projects, making so many different things. When you just learn like the basic techniques, and then you're like, wow, I could do so much with this. So you're on your way to making purses and bags, girl. I got some silly threads here that I'm just not crazy about. Okay. Now, we are going to prepare this for top stitching. So the process is going to be, first I'm going to push this back down, and it should fit nicely at the bottom. I feel my fingers right here, see? And everything is nice, and I'm just going to smooth it down inside. No big deal. We have that pressed. Now, we're going to want to make sure that when we top stitch this, we're catching this in the top stitch. So don't leave this laying down. You're going to want to fold it up. And if you need to pin it, pin it. If that helps you remember to keep that up, pin it. Okay. I'm going to pin this side too, so that I don't miss it and I try to flip it out of my way. Okay. Now, to top stitch this, what did I do? Okay. Take those pins out. I'm sorry. You're going to turn it inside out. That was the easiest way to do it, was turning it inside out and top stitching from the inside, not on the outside, because it was hard to, I remember it was hard to get a good stitch trying to do that. So the easiest way is to turn it inside out. Now that you've got everything creased, find your creases. They should have that crease from the iron, so you're able to see. And here is where you can pin these, because we're going to top stitch from the inside. It was easier to maneuver around the sewing machine that way. That's the only reason. So if you're okay with top stitching it the other way, with it turned the other way, you could do that too. But for me, I don't know. I couldn't get it right. Okay. I am going to start at the bottom when I go in, and I am going to do a top stitch right along this all the way around, and then once I'm done with that, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to top stitch along the top here all the way around, making sure I catch those in my stitch. And I left it on a 4 because a 4 to me on my machine looks good as a top stitch. Again, just for decorative purposes. And we are about done, y'all. We got to top stitch this and then add the drawstring. And it's go time. Like, you can use it. It's ready to go. What time is it? How long have we been, y'all? Hour and a half. This wouldn't take you an hour and a half, because you wouldn't be doing a tutorial. but it took us an hour and a half. This is one of the longest ones I've done. Okay. So get everything laid flat, and I'm going to actually start sewing here on the strap so that I don't get it. Let's see. So you're going to want to fold this back. I'm actually going to take these pins out. I don't need them. It was just for y'all. Make sure that it's flat. And once you're happy and you're satisfied with the way it's going to look, I hope I'm satisfied. My machine, I'm able to move my needle. So at this time, I'm moving my needle to the left so that I can get a close stitch. But my presser foot is going to hold this other down, if that makes sense. If you don't have that, don't worry. Just position your needle where you want it on your material. So I'm trying to sew as close as I can to the exterior fabric. And I'm going to backstitch. And just begin to sew around. Take your time. You want this to be, because it's going to be visible, take your time and make sure that you're creating a straight line. So don't zoom across, like don't zoom through this. Just take your time. And I don't suggest that you backstitch on this part of this, like we did earlier on the strap, because you're going to be able to see all those stitches. Just go over it once so that it has that clean finish, okay? Because earlier we backstitched. Since this is on the outside, we do not want to do that. It's not going to go nowhere. We've stitched it so many times it ain't going nowhere. And again, you're just going to have to work it like we did before. You're going to have to work it around the circle. I hope this one turns out. I'm nervous. I'm nervous because it's live. Okay, I'm going to move it again, adjust it. Okay, this is kind of difficult because you want to make sure that this isn't crinkled up and that it's going to lay perfect over your, come on, come on. It's wanting to crinkle up as I pull it. Okay, there we go. My strap. Okay, I'm working with the strap now. Sewing over the second strap. And this is where I'm like, it doesn't really want to lay flat. What is up with you? I think one of my edges got bigger than the other. That's okay. I'm going to clip this thread. Okay, this is where I'm going to backstitch. And I'm going to take this off, clip this thread, and then I'm going to top stitch all the way around the top. I'm getting nervous because I hope this turns out like the other one that I showed you. Okay. One more time. And I'm going to start with the strap because I don't want to forget to sew it in. Everybody's kind of awake and moving in there. I think when I get off here, I'm going to go and make some food. Oh, I need to I'm going to turn, if you have this option, I'm turning my needle all the way to the right so that I can get a close seam to the edge. And it's a little bit easier on the top because you're not trying to sew inside of the holder. That is a little bit difficult. That's why I had to do it this way, because the other way just was too hard for me. I'm coming up to the hole. I don't know if you guys can see the hole here. And I'm going to top stitch as close as I can to the edge so that I don't close that hole, because that is where we're going to poke our cord through. But I am going to back stitch over it because I want it to stay connected, like stay, you know, not rip open at the top. I'm going to put my needle back on center, and we're ready to turn this out and see what it looks like. I'm almost done, babe. I'm almost done. I gotta make videos for Prepared Living, for the Prepared Living channel. After this one. I'm on live stream. I'll be done in a minute. Alright, my family's up and going. I'm glad we're about done with this, because this one took a long time, you guys. Oh my gosh. Clip your threads. Hoping to head to Michael's soon. Katie loves making her hair scrunchies. Aww. Those are good projects. Good little projects. I just love buying fabric just to have it. Like hoarding it. Alright, we're going to turn this back right side out. And we're going to check out, see what it looks like. Put our drawstring in, and we will be done. Alicia, thanks for sticking this out with me. Girl, this one was a long one. I may just do, if these are going to be long, I may just do pre-recorded ones so that you just get the steps. Not all the extra hoo-ha. Okay. Here we go. So, if you want to press it down, this would be a good time to press it down. But since I'm adding the drawstring, I'm not going to. But your holder should be ready to go. And I'll show you how to do that. So, grab your cord. If you're using cord, using this to pull through. So, my safety pin. I'm just going to stick it in one side. And since this is such a small little cord, it's kind of hard, but it will go. And then I'm just going to feed it through. I have one of those tools that you pull it through, but it didn't work on this project. This project was too tight of a circle, so it wouldn't press through. This little thing, I couldn't get it to work. Not for this. So we'll just use the good old safety pin method. It's tried and true. It works. All right. All right, now if I can get it pushed through the finding the opening. Well, what is the deal? It's not wanting to come through. We just thought we were about done. Come on. Come on. It's like under the fabric. How to get under the fabric? Oh, there it is. Ah, scared me. Oh no. Okay, it's right there. It kind of got stuck right here when I was trying to push it through the under the seam of the strap. It's really thick right there. Let's see if I can catch it with this. Well, it's just right there. The cord. Come on. It shouldn't be this hard. You guys might not have this problem, but it's a legit problem. So if you do, never fear. Just work it out. There we go. See how handy this little tool is? Okay. Praise God. Okay, so we are going to line it up. And take your little, if you're using one of these, you take it, and I have to cut that end off because it got frayed and it doesn't want to poke through. Okay. And then you're going to want to tie the ends. And we're done. I probably won't do a live stream with the one that has all the baggage on there, like all the the stuff on the side, because it would take us a while. It would take us a while. But there you have it. Let me do the forward-facing camera because I'm going to sign off now. And it's been a long morning, but we did it. We made it. And I'll show you guys, if I can stand back, what it actually looks like. So you just be able to carry it like that. And here's the test. Does it fit? It fits the 20-ounce tumbler. Oh my gosh, I love these so much. Oh my gosh. I will post this one on YouTube, but probably I need to make videos that are step-by-step, just clips, because this took a long time and not everybody's got 2 hours to sit and watch a tutorial video. But here it is. I love it. I love it. I love it. You do any kind of pattern you wanted. You could be so creative and use the innard part, a different print. But if you make these, let me know, okay? Okay, I'm going to get off here, and I'm going to start making a video for the other channel. So, yeah. And cook my family something to eat. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'm so happy that you're here. I don't know what we're going to do next or when I'm going to do it. It depends on the time. So I'm going to sign off. Have an amazing day.